Welcome to this video for English 1.1 on understanding the question. So this is the question that you'll be answering in the exam. So what will this video cover? Firstly, we'll be looking at how 1.1 questions are asked. Then we'll look at breaking down the structure of the exam questions. And we'll look at what the important parts of the question are, so what you have to focus on when you're writing your answer. Finally, we'll look at where to from here after you've watched this video. So how are the questions asked in this exam? There are usually about 7 questions for you to choose from. Sometimes there'll be more, sometimes there'll be less. Now this is the list of questions from the 2018 exam, so this is roughly what the paper will look like, and you need to choose one of these questions to answer. So the questions will vary significantly. No 2 questions will ever look exactly the same. So while they do change from year to year, many of the key aspects of the question remains the same each year. Now I'll explain what this means in much more detail soon. For now, just know that the key aspects means the key parts of the question. So similar questions will come up every year. They won't be the same, but they'll be similar because they have different combinations of aspects or parts. And a lot of these parts will have come up in questions before. So now let's look at breaking down the question so you understand the structure of an NCEA Level 1 exam question. These questions are always made up of 2 sentences. Firstly, they'll say describe X, and then explain how X shows Y. So X in blue is also going to be known as part 1 of the question, and then Y in purple is also going to be known as part 2 of the question. So that first sentence, X or part 1, asks you to describe an aspect of the book. So this aspect might be techniques used, settings, characters, or important events that come up in the book. So these are the parts of the book that we can analyse, the things that have depth to them. So the second sentence is about the idea or message, the theme or the emotional response that the author is trying to convey. So when the question asks you to explain how that first aspect shows the second aspect, what you're doing is linking that first thing, so techniques for example, to something that the author is trying to teach you. So following from this, 1.1 questions can be broken down into 2 parts. So a question might look like this. Describe a challenging setting in the text. Explain how this setting helped you understand an important idea in the text. So the thing we can analyse here, part 1, is a challenging setting. And then we have to link it to what the author is teaching us about the important ideas of the text. Another example is describe a key moment in the text that surprised you. Explain how this key moment was important to the text as a whole. So our part 1 aspect is the key moment. This is what we can analyse. And then we have to link this to what the author is telling us, what they're using the text as a whole to teach us. And then a final example here is describe a key idea that changed your perspective in the text. Explain how the key idea changed your perspective. So here the thing we're analysing, the part 1 aspect, is the key idea. And we have to link it to what the author is trying to convey to us, which in this case is a change in our perspective as a reader. So similar components or aspects are asked in the questions every year, just in different combinations. So all the questions will be different but have very familiar aspects to them. I'll now take you through some examples of questions that have techniques as the first sentence or the first aspect of the question. So in 2018, the question was describe at least one method, which is another word for technique, the writer used to engage the reader. Explain how this method helped to engage you. In 2017, you had to describe at least one important technique used in the text, this time explaining how the technique helped you understand one or more key ideas. In 2016, you again had to describe an important technique, but this time you had to explain how it created an emotional response in you as a reader. And then in 2015, technique was again used as a part 1 aspect, and you had to explain how the technique created impact. So you can see that the same part 1 aspect, technique, can be linked to a number of different part 2 aspects. So key ideas or emotional response or engagement of the reader. So what are the most important parts or aspects to learn so that you'll be guaranteed a question that you can answer? So based on the previous years, there are 7 different aspects that come up year after year very, very commonly. And these come up in both part 1 and part 2, and we'll cover each of these in depth in the next 7 videos. Now they come up in different combinations each year, and combinations of these different aspects make up a minimum of 3 of the 7 questions each year. So if you study each of these 7 aspects in relation to your book, you'll be guaranteed about 3 questions in the exam that you can answer. So because of this, it's ideal to prepare for multiple Part 1 and 2 aspects in the exam. The more you can prepare for, the better. So these are the most common Part 1 and Part 2 aspects that come up. So for Part 1, you've got techniques, setting, and important events. And for Part 2, you've got key idea or message, reader's emotion, and whole text. And then character kind of works for both Part 1 and Part 2. And we're going to go through each of these things in the next 7 videos so that you have a really thorough understanding of them. So what do you need to do now? So if you have no idea which aspect you want to write about in your book, then just keep watching the next 7 videos. As you do this, just bullet point some ideas or examples from your book related to each video or each aspect. Then you can start watching the videos on how to bring it all together and write the essay. Have a practice writing your essay if you can, or if you're pushed for time, just making essay plans is a really good option. If you already have a good idea about which aspect of your book you want to write about, then just watch the videos relevant to your chosen aspects. So say the setting video or the key idea video or the character video. Then watch the videos on writing an essay and have a practice yourself. If you have time, again, essay plans are a great alternative. So thanks for watching this video, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.